Today I'm going to show you how I helped this one company reduce their operating costs. Um, Hi, my name is Andres. I worked for the last 5 years as a data analyst, helping companies really get eyes on their financials and their operating expenses so they can better scale their business. In this case, I built a dashboard for a government contractor that really helped him get eyes on his data. So, the most important step that you're going to need in the foundational step to reduce your operating costs or any really type of expenses is getting data and getting reporting on check. The first step to doing that is really having a system. In this case, this government contractor already had an ERP. They're using SAP for HANA. And then in that case, that already tracks your operating expenses and your financials and combines them. Uh, you know, if you don't have those systems, it is more complicated. The other things you can do is track it manually with a tool like Notion or Excel, or you can build your own custom application that does similar things. But SAP and using SAP and Oracle are more expensive, but it does make it easier and more automated. So if you don't have that in place, think about using Excel or a different tool to hold those tools manually. But just know you're going to spend more time and actually use your data less if you go through one of those solutions. But the next step you really have to do then is have the processes in place to actually get the reporting in. So once the application's built, even if some of these things have reporting, they might not actually have reports that are consolidated and combined. So if you look at this dashboard, I'm not only grouping these expenses, I then later set up what costs, earn value, and budget funds, and all those steps actually had to go in to their data and then transform it. It's called the ETL process, right? So API connects to the application, builds the data, then have to transform it into a way where it can actually be used in a reporting and analytical sense. And the analytical part is where you actually get to make your own decisions. That's where you actually get to change your strategies and really actually start saving dollars. Or if you're in doing like a sales side, you actually make money, right? But then we'll go over kind of what I really helped him with, which was build a dashboard template where they can really just get one view to see all their costs and everything associated with it. So first level, you always want to have KPIs. And, you look at the KPI structure. I'm not just showing the total value, but I'm comparing it to something, right? So if you just show, a number in it of itself, it doesn't really mean anything, right? Like 5, 10 tends to seem like a lot, right? But $10 is nothing. But 10 in like a scale of 1 to 10, that's the max, right? So you need to compare it to something. In this case, they didn't have budgets for any of these things, like other companies do. So we just compared to prior year, which is always a good comparison, right? You always want to be trending down when it comes to costs. Then you want to compare cost to the actual money, right? So, if you have a lot of costs, but also really high sales, your profit margins are still really big. Maybe cost isn't really your problem. You might have another constraint somewhere else if you feel like, cost is too high. So, I want to show earned value. I want to show budgeted funds. In this case, they're a construction company, right? And they get their earnings actually prior to doing a project, right? So they don't actually have to wait for terms. They get budgeted for projects and they get paid prior to the project. So the problem that they thought they were having that we basically want to check with this template is they don't, even though they have this system, they're not actually tracking their budgeted money coming in with how much they actually spend. It's not like a bank account where they get funds and they get to use it. They can actually kind of spend more freely. So they really want to check how much their spend is going compared to their budgeted costs. So I made those the KPIs and compared them to prior year and use color to kind of have them highlight. So even if you didn't know anything about this dashboard, right, that something's going wrong because these two things are red, right? Then over here, I want to actually show the historical costs in a written format so you can talk about it more, but also a visual format, right? Just this table, you might not notice what the expenses are, what's going bad, what's the trend. But here you kind of know it's a very volatile downward trend. This is just a template. None of this data is actually real. I built the data set in using ChatGPT and Excel. But later I've helped him, we'll probably do a different video showing how I help people actually build a data warehouse and get those data sources so they can actually be used for analytical stuff. Next up, you always want to group those KPIs into other groups. So if you're thinking about like expenses and you're trying to reduce expenses, even in your personal life, right? If you just have the total cost, like 3 million or 5K a month or whatever, right? You might not know exactly what to hit that you can actually affect, right? So you always want to group expenses, right? So in this case, we're grouping expenses by equipment, labor, materials, and permits, because those are the groups that they really want to check out and see how can I reduce these expenses compared to prior year? Like, how am I actually trending with these? And anything's not really value add. The other thing people can also reduce expenses by is employees, especially manufacturing and even construction, right? You want your hours related to these roles to modify based on your order levels or the actual project. You don't want people just doing non-value add work. So really, we're trying to find which of these like positions, which of these items are actually adding value and not just all costs. And those are where you can really make strategies. That's where these help you. From then, if you really want to make it, this is like high level stuff, right? Last layer, you always want to go into more detail and find the actual projects that you think you can use as an example for future projects, right? Because we're just doing historical reference, right? So in this case, for this table could be 100 or more rows, and you can just scroll, right? In this case, we have 5 projects that we're showing. We want to show the actual dates and see which one of these durations are a little bit too long or which one's too short. How many employees are being used per project, right? And the costs and all these KPIs that we're showing, but show it in the project level. In this case, these are the earned value metrics for construction, which, if it's above 1, it's really good. If it's below 1, it's best. In this case, they're actually hitting all their KPI ones. It's just a template. I'm not going to show real data of a construction company, but this dashboard really helps you see, especially imagine if it was like more realistic numbers and you saw downward trends based on labor, based on project managers, or things like that. Or you saw projects that have costs extremely high compared to other costs, right? This dashboard can really show you, and in one view, you have it that combines with your data. Really will show you how to reduce costs without having to spend so much time gathering the data. That's what we really were able to help this construction company do. So we're probably able to save them like 3 to 4 hours a day. Their team were taking around, they'll spend 20 days building a report like this in Excel. And I was able to build a report like this in like 2 days. And I only have to build it once. I connect directly to the application. So instead of spending 20 days every month, right, I built this once in 2 days and have a direct connection to it. So this is the value of having these dashboards and connecting to software directly versus doing the manual work. You're saving who knows how much time, and then you get the analysis right away. And then instead of spending 20 times gathering data, you're spending 20 days improving your company, right? So that's really where I'm trying to help this construction worker do. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of this thing. You need to get data. In conclusion, you need to get data and be able to track, the metrics that matter, and then highlight them and combine your financials with your operations. In this case, I'm combining my projects with my cost and earned value. Right. So financials and project level. Right. Thank you. Have a good day.